Just when you thought that Tulip Siddiq had sort of disappeared from the headlines, here she is today. She's posing outside the Speaker's house, celebrating her inclusion as one of Westminster's 100 most influential women. At the same time, the case against her is suddenly the talk of the town. And on Wednesday, she was popping up in Prime Minister's questions. I don't understand the weight of allegations, the power of political networks, the sheer audacity of Siddiq. You would have thought that somebody with so much going on would have gone for silence, and yet no, she doesn't. This unfolding saga, this unfolding corruption saga, scandal that extends far beyond her ministerial career, deep into the murky waters of Bangladesh's political elite, and yet she is celebrating her inclusion as one of Westminster's 100 most influential women. The irony writes itself, doesn't it? The accusations laid out by Bangladesh's Anti-Corruption Commission suggest a pattern of abuse of power and improper financial dealings, whether true or false. And the core allegation that Siddiq, through her privileged connections as the niece of the former Bangladeshi Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, benefited from the illegal allocation of state-owned land. And worse still, she is accused today of a fraudulent, what would it be, a solicitor's note, a document of transferring property to her sister. These allegations form part of a larger investigation into the Hasina family's extensive wealth accumulation through questionable means. And for those unfamiliar with the broader context, Sheikh Hasina's government, which ruled Bangladesh for 15 years, collapsed in August 2024 amid mass protests, and what followed was a flood of revelations about corruption, land grabs, financial misconduct, and the ACC's findings claim that 60 katha, approximately an acre of land in the new Per Bakol town centre project was unlawfully allocated to the Hasina family, bypassing the eligibility rules designed to prevent politically connected families from reaping undue benefit. And Siddiq's alleged involvement in this scandal only adds to the growing list of high-profile figures under scrutiny. What makes this case even more troubling is the disturbing backdrop of human rights violations under Hasina's regime. Just yesterday, the UN released a damning report detailing the extraordinary violence used against protesters between July and August 2024, and the findings are harrowing. Arbitrary detentions, torture, mass arrests. Shockingly, 12 to 13% of those killed were children. And the UN Human Rights Office has called for the International Criminal Court to prosecute those responsible for these crimes. Yet, when pressed for comment on this report, Siddiq, who previously held a ministerial position dedicated to tackling corruption, again, irony, has remained silent. Her Twitter feed remains lively with praise for her recognition as an influential woman, yet devoid of any acknowledgement of the atrocities linked to her family's political dynasty. And beyond the corruption allegations, Siddiq now faces potential legal ramifications, as the ACC is actively pursuing charges and Bangladesh's new interim leader, Mohammed Yunus, has hinted at possible extradition. And the key question here is whether the UK government will cooperate in such an effort. Downing Street has thus far refused to comment, and Siddiq's team has not addressed whether she holds dual nationality, another detail that could influence any potential extradition proceedings. What we do know is that the UK's National Crime Agency's International Anti-Corruption Coordination Centre is reportedly looking into the case, given the suspected property hoards linked to senior figures of Hasina Awami's League in Britain. So what does this all mean? Firstly, it underscores the tightrope walked by politicians who build careers on the lofty ideals of integrity while being entangled in deeply questionable dealings like the Awami League. Siddiq's proximity to corruption in Bangladesh casts an uncomfortable shadow over her time in government. And secondly, it raises profound questions about the UK's willingness to take action against individuals accused of serious financial misconduct when they are politically well connected. And finally, it highlights the political hypocrisy of celebrating influential women in Westminster while conveniently ignoring the uncomfortable realities of their actions elsewhere. In the days ahead, expect mounting pressure on Siddiq to break her silence as Bangladesh's new government presses forward with its anti-corruption campaign, with calls for accountability. They will only grow louder. And whether the UK government will take a stand remains to be seen. But one thing is certain. For a former minister, once tasked with tackling corruption, Tulip Siddiq is facing questions that won't disappear with a well-curated social media post.